Hi and welcome to this tutorial about lofting. I've just got on the screen a little CO2 example, so we're heading towards creating something like that. But in this tutorial we're going to create something like this one here, a bit of a rocket, to get an idea of how to do lofting from between a number of sketches. So I'm going to start by creating a new, just a single part, standard millimeter IPT. We're going to start creating a sketch. Down the bottom of my rocket's just going to be a circle. Whenever we're designing in CAD, we want to design it the actual size, and so I'm going to assume, just going to make up some numbers, but maybe about 2.4 meters for the base of my rocket there, and I'll just finish that sketch. So I've got a single circle sitting there. So lofting is generating a feature based on a series of sketches. So I want to create another sketch further up here. So in order to do that, I want to create planes or generate planes. So I'm going to create a plane. I'm going to base it on that original XY plane, but then I'm going to drag it from the corner and lift it up a certain amount. Maybe I'll go about 2 meters. So now I've got a plane that I can create a sketch on. I'm going to create another one, just same as what I had before, just to show you here. Finish that sketch. So now that I have two different sketches, 2 meters apart. I can continue to follow that, generate another plane a little bit further up, maybe another meter up, and we can start creating a bit of a change in our design. So now I'm going to create an ellipse. Ellipse goes along a certain amount. I'll just put in that amount in a minute with some dimensions. With an ellipse, if you hold it up this way, it'll give you the dimension for that way. If you hold the dimension that way, it'll give you that way. So I'll go a little bit smaller than the circle, maybe 700. So I've created 3 now. If I was to do a loft, I click on the sketches in my series, and you can see it's generating that shape now. So it's starting to generate that loft. I'll just undo that because I'm not finished. I'm going to create a few more planes, because I could have generated this shape or similar, probably not with the ellipse, with the using revolve. I'm going to go up another couple meters. But we can get quite complex with this shape. I'm now going to start going to a rectangle. Putting some dimensions on my rectangle. Maybe I'll just go 600's a bit small. Maybe 1200. I'm just going to put in some dimensions to get it into the center as well. What do we make it? So 1100, I think. Great. And I could perhaps cut the corners off of this as well. Maybe just put a little chamfer. Let's see, how big is that chamfer? So I'm just chamfering these corners. Okay, finish that sketch. So now I've gone ellipse to a circular shape. I'm going to create a couple more planes here, up another couple meters. This time I'm going to make it a skinnier rectangle here. And again, just constrain that to be in the center. And I'm going to finish off with the nose. I'm going to do one more plane up a little bit. Create a sketch on there and draw a final rectangle. going to make that quite small, I think. Okay, so then I've got my sections for my loft. So my series of sketches. I'll create a loft. Make sure you click on the sketches in order. You should see your loft starting to generate. A bit of a crazy shape that I've ended up with, but we can always change it afterwards. So I've got this sort of shape. It's certainly, these two are way too big for a rocket. I want to bring them down, so I'm going to go to the sketches that they relate to, just double click, and I can just change these. So instead of being 2200, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, 1800, and make that 900, and make this a little bit smaller as well. And that will automatically update that. And this one up here I need to change a little bit as well. It's way too wide. There we go, starting a little bit more the sort of shape that I want. I could probably even bring that in even more on that one. There we go. Looks a little bit more aerodynamic. I can turn the visibility off of these planes just by right clicking and pressing V on my keyboard. And then we've got to actually create the little rockets as well down the bottom here. Simple as I could create a sketch on here, or perhaps I could do a plane. I might just create another plane based on any of the planes that are running through the middle, but then offset that out a little bit. This will be a bit of a trial and error, but we'll see how we go. I'll offset it out. We'll do 700 to start with. We can always change this afterwards. And now I'm going to create a sketch on this, and this is for the actual little thrusters. If I press F7 at slice graphics, and then I can actually generate a center line down the middle, whatever height we want that to be, maybe a couple of meters, and then generate a bit of an arc that's going to go around that. I'm just going to ask those two to be tangential so it flows nicely into each other. Put a dimension on this one. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Alright, so I've got this profile here which I can then revolve. And you can see I've created it and it's not extending out far enough. We really want it to be out on the edge here. So like I said, this work plane, if I double click on it, I can then choose to make it offset even further. Oops. And you can start seeing the effect of that. So I want to do a little bit further than that, even more. And it's starting to put that rocket out. Might just do a tiny bit more. And that's a little bit too much because I don't really want to see the top of it. That should be in the rocket. Great, I'm going to hide that work plane. And I've got one rocket and I just want to do a pattern of them. So I'm going to do a circular pattern. Click on the feature, ask it around the rotation axes. I might need to click on an actual axis here. 6 of them, and so there we've got my little rocket shape. So have a go yourself.